And joining us this evening on the Modi government's 2 years hits and misses debate is Ratan, Sharda, author and RSS thinker. He's with us from Mumbai. We have Member of Parliament from the Rajya Sabha, Pavan Verma of the JDU. He's with us from Delhi. Mohammad Salim, MP, Lok Sabha, CPIM, with us from Kolkata. Rajiv, Desai, Chairman and CEO, Comma Consulting, is also with us from Delhi. And we are expecting the BJP's national spokesperson, Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, to be joining us in just a few minutes. He should be with us in a couple of minutes. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Pavan Verma. Now, Arun Jaitley has said that this government has shown the fastest reforms in the last 25 years, and that right now was a period of consolidation. From here on, the Modi government is going to be going from 0 to 100. But the questions of rising unemployment, inflation, are these questions going to dampen the claims of solid economic stability? What's your take?
Well, Tina, you know, in my view, 2 years is not enough time to judge a government's performance. And nothing is entirely black or white. There have been some achievements, particularly in areas of financial inclusion. But if I were to draw a balance sheet between the promises that were made and the delivery that is verifiable and seen on the ground, I would say that there is a significant sense of disappointment. And I can explain to you why in just a minute. Firstly, I believe few governments have made such a spectacular breach of promise on the question, for instance, of black money and giving each citizen 15-20 lakhs, on the very important promise to farmers suffering in drought about raising the MSP by 50% profit over costs. And on the question of jobs, 2 crore jobs, we've had the worst performance in 6 years as far as job creation goes. There are other sectors, for instance, industrial production, manufacturing, exports. These are areas which worry us. Profits of companies, investments in 2015, Tina, in 8 months have been 30% down. Corporate profits are 6% down. Agriculture, of course, is in its worst crisis. So on the economic front, whether it's the youth or the farmer or the middle class, there is a sense of disappointment. But to that is added a great deal of social instability, where other factors seem to be overwhelming the economic agenda, such as Ghar Wapsi, Love Jihad, beef politics, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, we'll be touching on those topics. We'll be coming to that in just a minute, but you've raised a couple of very important points. I want to get Ratan, Sharda in on that. So let's pick up 2 of the points that Pavan Verma has raised, Ratan, Sharda, and 2 very, very worrying ones. One, of course, is unemployment. As he said, India's job creation rate in 2015 was the slowest since 2009. And I'll also talk about the farmer suicides, because that is surely the biggest crisis facing this nation right now. Between May 20th, 2014 to May 24, 2015, 1,306 farmer suicides. These are major crises facing the nation right now.
See, I would
Ratan,
like
Sharda,
to say
did you hear me?
If you look at the various indicators, we are looking at it. Yeah, I heard you. I thought you were still speaking. I'm sorry. I am saying that there are ways of looking at economic indicators. The infrastructural reforms that have happened in the field of economy are mind-blowing. For a country, it would be shameful to say that there was no electricity in 18,000 villages even after 7 decades. Now the BJP has put up 8,000 villages with electricity within a year, and they promised to complete electrification of all the villages. Imagine, it's an immense reach. You look at the Jan Dhan Yojana, where subsidy is going directly to the people, and 15,000 crores have been saved. You have to look at the 2 years of consecutive famine, drought, worst kind of drought and famine. The total economy shrinking all over the world, the global meltdown. In that global meltdown, we are number 1 in FDI. This country is still growing at 7.5% to 7%, and we have people very optimistic about the economy world over, including our own Indian people. And whatever this corruption that took away the complete shine of the economy, look at the way whole mining was taken within short time. Pavan Verma started by saying
and conceding. One second, he did start by saying that there are some very big hits.
I am saying famine,
he did say that, you know, in terms of you're talking about the Skill India, you're talking about the Jan Dhan Yojana, you're talking about rural electrification. inflation, and these are big hits, no doubt about it. But the
Yes.
question that he had asked, and I believe Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi has also joined us now. Good evening, Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, coming to you in just a minute. But the question that he's asked is about the larger issues. He says, all right, if we've got some of these good things going, that's great. We're going to watch over the next 3 years and see where the Modi government takes India in this direction. But answer the question, and maybe Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi would like to answer that. Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, the first question that's come up is that even as the finance minister claims that this has been, the fastest period of reforms in the last 25 years, various hits that we've just discussed, there are some misses, and the farmer suicides going up by 40% is a massive crisis. There is the issue of unemployment, and there's also the entire issue of inflation, which is what affects the common man. Everyone's asking about that. So where does the government really see India going from here? Because there are these major issues which are staring us in the face.
Nidhi, just a small interjection. Just a small interjection before Sudhanshu speaks. I would say that there has been a lot of improvement in various infrastructure areas in the economy, but I would say fiscal reforms have not been up to mark. I would agree with that. There was a lot of scope of simplification and making business easier. It has not been achieved. I agree with that. So I would say on that point I agree, but on other points that economy is not growing, farmer suicide, look at the irrigation picture of last 60 years. You believe that it will be corrected in 2 years when there is continuous drought for 2 years? On that I pause. Let Mr. Sudhanshu take over.
Okay, fine. Dr. Trivedi, so while, everyone accepts that the GDP growth is at over 7% and there are major achievements like the Jan Dhan Yojana, for example, the rural electrification and highway construction program, all of that is given that, yes, it's a big hit for the government. But the questions are being asked about inflation, rising unemployment, and most particularly about farmer suicides.
As far as the farmer is concerned, there are two aspects I would like to point out. You remember those were the days when farmers used to have agitation for the availability of urea. And numerous state government used to send letters to central government that make us urea available and so on and so forth. And in that situation, you remember, approximately 1/3 of the urea goes to the chemical factories. But look at the situation. Have you ever heard about anywhere in the country that the farmers are agitating against the availability of urea? Any state government, whether it is a BJP NDA ruled or any other, has written a letter to the central government for the availability of the urea. This shows how we managed to transform the situation. As far as the farmer society is concerned, I would like to say that they should also consider this is the second successive year of drought, 2 years of underfed monsoon. So this is a natural calamity. So in my opinion, our opponents are left with no other hide just to put an allegation on us on the pretext of the natural calamities. And
all
as
right,
far as
Dr.
the other things
Dr.
are
Sudhanshu
concerned,
Trivedi, the fact is that since you said this yourself, 2 years of major drought, but that is exactly what is expected of the government, that there would be mechanisms in place to safeguard the farmers' interest should this natural calamity arise. So we'll deliberate on that for just a minute more, but I'm going to get in Mohammad Salim now. Mohammad Salim, what Dr. Trivedi says is if you talk about the farmer suicides, then it's really something that the government couldn't help, but in areas where we could make progress, we've done it.
But the government's claim is so hollow. Even the BJP representative, I have respect for Mr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, but you see, this unabated suicide trail is going on. And for 2 successive years of drought, it's a failure of the management. How the government has failed to manage to reach out the drought affected people. They woke up so late, and we're discussing it for last 1 year. It's a continuation, in continuum. And now they're claiming that huge success. What happened in the agrarian crisis? Nothing tangible, no tangible result is being seen. In 2 years is enough. Now you're talking about there is no fault in urea supply. So in what world you live in? The area under the cultivation is going down because of serious drought. There is exodus from the rural areas. There is no water. Forget about the drinking water or irrigation. It's not only for the cattle. the cattle are dying. You are talking about beef eating, making big hangama, and our cattle is going down. Cattle population is going down in vast area of central India and western India and northern India, and
so
all
Dr.
these
Trivedi, quickly, your responses to those questions.
It's huge.
Your responses to those questions, and the clear-cut question is: what is the tangible counter? What is the tangible counter to this crisis, to the drought, and to farmer suicide?
Before Sudhanshu ji answers, can I add to what Mr. Salim has said?
Yeah, please, Pavan Verma, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, what I'm saying is, of course, Sudhanshu is right that there has been drought for 2 years. But in handling this drought, fertilizer subsidies have been reduced. I don't agree with him that there have not been shortages. In fact, riots have taken place on 1 bag of urea, and it's recorded. Manrega payments have been reduced or delayed. The MSP promise has not been implemented. Now the government's approach is to provide greater credit to farmers and insurance and other schemes. I ask you a simple question. 1 out of every 2 farmers in this country is under a personal debt of 47,000 rupees. You are saying to that farmer and that class that we will give you more credit from banks which are on the brink of collapse themselves. Is this the way to resolve or provide amelioration to farmers? Or some bold move, for instance, like greater allocation in the budget to agriculture and farm loan waiver? I am saying you cannot try to build the first floor of a mansion without looking at the ground floor and the foundation.
Okay, Dr. Trivedi, your response to that fair question, that if you're looking at taking the entire country forward economically, the building blocks are based on our on our agriculture, and there needs to be tangible counters to drought-like situations, to agrarian crises, and really a much larger focus on the farmer. Your response to that, please.
Pavan Verma ji is a learned fellow, and he has raised a very pertinent question that there cannot be a first floor without the ground floor foundation. Yes, of course, that's why the basic fundamental foundation is a rural infrastructure, and we have given a great emphasis on that. Manrega was there previously in the previous government. There was a requirement of paying something for the landless laborers and others, but that money was going where? Because there was no link to asset creation. Our government has linked it to asset creation, and it's more than 3 lakh water bodies like ponds and other things will be built in the coming years so that this problem of monsoon in long term can have a solution. Pradhan Mantri Gramin Sadak Yojana, it is building the rural roads with 100 kilometers per day. Again, I am saying, Pradhan Mantri Gramin Sadak Yojana is building the rural roads with 100 kilometers per day, and Prime Minister has pledged that within 1,000 days, all villages will be electrified, and then you will say from where we will get the electricity. The electricity production and disbursement both, transmission and production both, is an all-time high. So we are laying down the foundation that the Bijli, Pani and Sadak all should be available to the villages so that farmers should have a proper energy to serve, proper water to harvest, and a proper road connectivity to have business. That's why we are saying we are laying down the foundation.
Okay, so let's get Rajiv Desai in on this. One second, Dr. Trivedi, I'm going to get Rajiv Desai in on this. 2 important points that we very briefly touched upon earlier. Now, when we talk about rural electrification, as was pointed out, the government has decided to electrify the remaining 18,452 unelectrified villages within 1,000 days, which means by May 2018, that is a huge undertaking. And also in terms of the Sadak Yojana, as Sudhanshu Trivedi was pointing out, the allocation of money to construction of highways has gone up from 9,000 crores to 19,000 crores. Doesn't that promise faster, better highways infrastructure, and isn't that eventually going to lead to a better standard of living for the farmer? Rajiv Desai.
If I may, I'd actually like to address the issue of the government's performance first. The government is judged on its performance on domestic and foreign policy. In the domestic sector, it's judged on its performance in economic policy and social policy. If you look at the social policy of this government, you have an India that is completely divided and hassled by the tridents of Hindutva. That's number one. Number two, there's a lot of caste discrimination. There's a lot of unease and dissent everywhere. People seeking quotas and on the basis of caste and so forth. So there's that. Economic policy, you can say whatever you want, but the fact on the ground is that there is jobless growth, which means that people's incomes are stagnant. As a result, the market is stagnant. As a result, there is no investment. You know, if the capital formation ratio, which was operating at 38% at one time, is down to 28%. So
is that true? Is there no investment, Sudhanshu Trivedi?
Or rostrum
there's no investment?
No, let me finish. Let me finish.
Okay, you finish up. You make your point, then we'll get the response.
And
all right.
The third thing is the foreign policy. So last one point. There is no foreign policy. There is a foreign trip policy. So between this permanent campaign mode and the foreign trips, I don't see where the room is for any governance whatsoever, and it's there for all to see, except those people who want to repeat endlessly some stuff that they've heard or has been put out, and just keep on repeating so it becomes true. But the fact of the matter is, you can look in various sectors of the economy, and it's hurting. You can look at
so let's stick to that first. Let's stick to that first. I'm going to take this discussion into foreign policy in just a few minutes, gentlemen. So two questions. One to Sudhanshu Trivedi, if you'd like to respond to what he has said, and then I'm also going to go to Ratan Sharda on the accusation that this big pall of gloom or this dark sort of overcloud of communalism, Hindutva that hangs over this government more than anything else. But first, Sudhanshu Trivedi, if you want to just respond to the economic points made, including the one of there being no investment.
I would like to respond to both on the job creation and the foreign policy. Actually, Modi government has tried to transform the concept of job. The job should not be just the seeking the jobs and predominantly the government jobs. We have introduced a Mudra scheme in which the low-level entrepreneur who want to have a 10,000 to 10 lakh rupees loan, they can achieve it. And 3 crore 10 lakh people has up till now obtained the Mudra loan. It means if you just add one job with that one loan, it means there is a potential 3 crore jobs have been created. And moreover, 70% of the beneficiaries are women, which I think to the usual sight of job creation, they have been missed or left apart. And in that, we have given instruction to the government that every branch of all the bank should give at least one SC/ST and one woman entrepreneur. So this is trying to move down the line, so the jobs have been created and the potential jobs are very much there. Now come to the foreign policy. If you want to say that this is just a foreign trip policy, the latest agreement with Iran on Chabar, I don't think that is going to be a foreign trip. And Modi government is having two distinct different features which no previous government was having in the foreign diplomacy. Number one is a cultural diplomacy, because India is a country, an age-old civilization which is having a vast cultural influence over the particular the Eastern
Dr. Sudhanshu Trivedi, I'm just going to ask you to just pause. Hold that thought for a minute, because you know I am going to come to foreign policy. Give me a minute. I'm going to come to that. I just want to get the responses in on these issues right now. I think Pavan Verma wants to make a point. Yes, Pavan Verma.
I just want to say to my good friend Sudhanshu ji, the Mudra scheme is a good one. But you have to see it in the context in which you are trying to make it operational. And that is why the saying goes, the way to hell is paved with good intentions. You are providing loans for entrepreneurship when there are no avenues open for entrepreneurship and no jobs being created, nor loans available from a banking sector overburdened by NPAs over 4,50,000 crores. Take agriculture.
But
Pavan
Verma, in addition to that loan scheme, the scheme also aims to train over 40 crore people. Now, you can't be expecting immediate results from that, but the idea is to have a roadmap towards where 10 years later you have skilled people, right?
I agree with you. The need to train people and provide skill development is not a new one. In fact, all that has happened is that a previous scheme has been given a new name now. And I wish the government well in that area. But I am saying about priorities, Tina,
new one is that 19,68,000 people have been
Sudhanshuji, let me finish. Sudhanshuji, let me finish. You come in after that. I am saying that in agriculture, the allocation this year, and I want to say this without, let's not get into a quarrel about it, is lower than what was allocated to agriculture in 2005. When there is a situation of 2 years of drought and irrigation, Sudhanshuji, the allocation in the budget is 1/3 of what is provided for a bullet train from Mumbai to Ahmedabad, which ordinary commuters can't afford to ride on. What are the
Is that not
priorities of
alarming,
this government?
Sudhanshu Trivedi? The allocation towards agriculture and irrigation?
देखिए, we cannot expect this type of logic. By this logic, you will say, what was the logic of sending the Mangalyaan to the Mars mission, in which not even a single person can go? These are the distinctly different, mutually exclusive domains of India's development. They cannot be compared with each other in the particular typical socialistic mindset which has dominated the India for 5 decades and which has led to that in 60s and 70s, the so-called 2% Hindu growth rate. As far as the farmers and the poor are concerned, right from day one, our Prime Minister announced...
Rajiv Desai, yes, Rajiv Desai wants to counter a point that you've made. Let's allow him to do that, Rajiv Desai.
It is poor or for the rich. It is Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. It was poor or rich. It was Jan Dhan Yojana. It was for poor or rich. The entire premise was more oriented towards the poor person
to Mars
and the deprived sections of
with
society.
the bullet train is typical of the absolute ineptitude of the people who are governing this country today. If you compare introducing a bullet train from Ahmedabad to Bombay with the shot to Mars, where there are amazing results of research and all of that sort of thing.
No, I am pointed out on the pretext that how many person can afford to go there.
That is completely
so it
wrong.
is useless for majority of people, this type of logic.
Not only that, but this is the typical sleight of hand. Now we are all Indians here, Mr. Trivedi. We are all Indians here, and we wish for this country to grow and grow faster, to have less poverty, to have better health, to have better education, to have better...
No, I don't think these things are put in right perspective in the railways. We have first created a dedicated freight corridor.
No,
we have also created a situation in which on a Twitter you can directly contact to the railway minister and immediately you will get a response.
Okay, gentlemen, there is no point and nothing to be gained from drawing these parallels, all right? There's nothing to be gained from drawing these parallels. We've got specific questions. I think Mohammad Salim also wants to come in, and then I'm going to go across to Ratan Sharda. Yes, Mr. Salim.
Excuse me, may I?
Let me just finish.
I'm coming to you. Coming to you in just a minute. Mohammad Salim.
Yes, change the concept.
Yeah.
There is no...
This is the hallmark of BJP leaders. When you talked about joblessness, jobless growth and unemployment and providing employment, he said they are changing the concept of job. And that is how Mudra Bank came in. So they are not answering the real problem. They are just playing with the words. When there is global business is going down, our export import is going down, when there is a large number of NPA and there is no enterprising situation, what you are saying, whom you are giving this money and what they will do when there is rural distress, not only drought, 8.4 crores people applied, record number since the Manrega was introduced for this 40 days odd work, which is 140 rupees per day. Where is the market? If you don't have international market, if you don't have domestic market, what you are talking about providing skills and entrepreneurship and hypothetically saying that employment has been generated is all in papers?
Okay. Sudhanshu Trivedi, very quickly your response to this allegation that it's only hypothetical job creation, and then we're going across to Ratan Sharda.
We have laid down the foundation for crores of jobs. Now you will say you are talking about just the foundation, how many jobs have been created. Now I am talking about the concrete fact. Go by the UPA government record. In the last 20 years, the maximum job creation as per the Planning Commission data of the UPA government was from 1999 to 2004, 6 crore 7 lakhs jobs. It was during NDA government. So we have a proven track record of job creation. And in Modi government has also laid down the foundation. I have talked about the Mudra Bank. It has created a potential of 3 crore jobs. The Sagarmala project is having a potential of 10 million jobs with 40 lakh direct jobs.
Okay,
so
Sudhanshu Trivedi, I'm going to
pipeline. The skill development has already trained 19,68,000.
So what Sudhanshu Trivedi is saying is that the skill development plan is something that is aiming at training more than 40 crore people. You're going to see all of this result in something concrete by 2022. It's not something that you're going to see results in overnight. But Ratan Sharda, I want to come to you with a point made earlier by Rajiv Desai, and he was saying that irrespective of whatever you might consider as hits or ticking or checking of the boxes with the Modi government, what has happened is that there is this sort of large dark cloud hanging over the government, and that is the one which talks about communalism, about Hindutva, and dividing the society down the center. Would you like to respond to that?
Yeah, see, first of all, let me get away from the point of Mohammad Salim. This party ruled over Kerala, which is totally financed by NRIs. This party ruled over West Bengal, which is the most backward state now. Those people who don't understand economy, they're teaching BJP economy. Please let me speak. I have quiet for half an hour, please. Coming to Rajiv Desai, he's a learned man. He's behaving like a typical Congress representative.
What we are debating
he
now?
is trying to just deride whatever has happened. He has laughed about the foreign policy. Can I speak? Mr. Rajiv, you are a learned man. Can you allow somebody else to speak? He is a person who laughed at foreign policy when Modi has managed to dealing India. I am answering. Sir, I am answering. I'll come to that. Let me first respond to other issues. You talked about foreign policy. You forget that first time India has been de-hyphenated from Pakistan. For the first time, India is proactive in the international scene. For the first time, all the countries are supporting Modi in various initiatives. For the first time, FDI is the highest in the world. Now coming to your NPAs, do you realize NPAs created by NDA? NPAs were created by dear Congress government over last 10 years. Those lakhs of rupees of crores have been asked to be cleared by this government. Don't forget that. So don't try to put something that was done by a Congress government onto BJP. Coming to your Hindutva agenda, don't forget your secular friends. You were quiet when Kashmiri Hindu was thrown out. You were quiet when false allegations. Please, may I speak?
Okay, Rajiv Desai.
False allegations were made against Hindus about saffron terror, about wrongdoings on Hindus. So you have initiated the atmosphere. This is purely
a situation like Kingfisher Airlines would have been avoided in the first place.
Please tell me how in Assam
the NPA problem is not one that has stemmed from this particular regime. Rajiv Desai.
In Assam, this is orchestrated gloom created by Congress and the cronies.
I know.
Let us talk sense, let us talk objective. A scholar should not try to speak a Congress language, just trying to negate everything that has been done. Please answer about NPA. Who gave the NPAs?
So because they know what they've done, they know how society is so badly divided.
What happened in Assam? Did Assam not support BJP?
If they're so
supported in spite of your gloomy predictions.
Why have they?
Mr. Rajiv, talk about proper
government funds?
Don't throw around rumors. Don't
front page advertisement in almost every single daily, in every single language of this country today.
No, you are typically cribbing guys are Udali.
I mean, if
Mr. Desai, did Congress government never give an ad? Did Congress never give an ad in the newspapers? You have spent billions of rupees. You are talking about an ad for 2 years. You are just being Rudali, Mr. Rajiv Desai.
Yeah, okay. No, fair point. Pavan Verma, you want to come in on this?
All the positive achievements of
Rajiv Desai, if you want to bring it down to asking about ads being printed in newspapers, has the Congress government in the UP never print an ad?
That's all.
You know, that argument absolutely takes you nowhere. Pavan Verma, you want to come in on this?
Mr. Manmohan Singh, total fair and foreign policy.
Sharda ji.
Gentlemen, Pavan Verma, please allow him to speak.
Sharda ji.
Nuclear power.
Sharda ji. शारदा जी निवेदन है आपसे, आप बोल चुके.
He has given a new kind of confidence to the country in spite of global recession. India has grown.
आपसे अनुरोध है कि आप औरों को भी सुन लें प्लीज. आपको सुना है मैंने. देखिए, यू आर 100% राइट दैट द एनपीओ बैंक इज नॉट अ क्रिएशन.
मुझे तो एक ही बार मौका मिला, मैं क्यों नहीं बोलूंगा?
बुरा न माने, शांति रखें, बुरा न माने. आपसे मैं एक निवेदन कर रहा हूं. आई एग्री विथ यू the NPA of the banks is not a problem that has been created by the BJP NDA government in the last 2 years. It is a problem that has been growing over the years, and both NDA and the UPA have been responsible for it. But I ask you, in the last 2 years, there has been, for instance, a particular company, that the Adani Group, that alone owes to the banks 72,000 crores or 96,000 crores, depending on what figure you want to believe, which is the entire amount what farmers owe in India to banks. And this loan has been allowed to grow in the last 2 years, and fresh loans have been given by banks. And Mr. Adani is seen everywhere the PM goes. And I can name other companies also. So it's time to accept responsibility and not pass on the buck to other governments all the time.
Forced to sell their assets to make payments. Banks have been asked to clean up their balance sheets. Who did it for all those years? It is only this government which is asking to clean up the balance sheets of banks. This is the first time big companies are selling their assets. Which other government has managed to do it?
If you feel that you can
the Parliament has passed the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, which is a step in the right direction here.
You are blaming that on Modi. The first time they have been forced to clear the debts. Nobody asked for clearance of debts. This is the first time they have been forced to clear the debts.
Sudhanshu Trivedi also wants to come in on this. Yes, Sudhanshu Trivedi, your last response on this. I'm going to move to foreign policy very quickly after this. Sudhanshu Trivedi.
On this issue of NPA, I would just like to remind, it is our government which has brought the bankruptcy and insolvency law. And
that's what I was just bringing up, exactly.
Those NPAs since last several years, and they are asking the question, it looks quite ridiculous, that we are making our best effort to curb those things and how to control those situations, and those who are responsible for last 10 years of creating situation to this extent are asking question. It's like ulta chor kotwal ko daate.
Mr. Trivedi,
and now
for
I would like to respond that communal secular debate also. The communal secular intolerant debate, which was very much there in the target as far as our opponents are concerned. Now I would like to respond. These are the people. I just give 3 examples. In UPA government, the Prime Minister on record said that the Muslims should have first right over the national resources of India, and this was not communalism. In UPA 1, they have said there should be a Muslim head count in Indian army, which was opposed by army, and this was not communal. And in UPA 2, in 2013, Home Minister used the word Hindu Atangwad, for which he has got a pat on the back by Hafiz Saeed, and it was not communal. None of our leader of that stature has even spoken anything related to caste, religion with terrorism, but unfortunately Congress always gets tempted by the fatal attraction of
Rajiv Desai, since you brought up that point, would you like to respond to that? Rajiv Desai, you brought up the point, would you like to respond to that?
They are continuing. Tina, I would like to complete in one sentence in Hindi. देखिए इनके साथ प्रॉब्लम जानते क्या हो रही है कि ये कम्युनल सेकुलर डिबेट में इस कदर उलझ जाते हैं कि बार बार इनको नुकसान होता है, फिर भी समझते नहीं है. सलीम साहब, एक बात मुझे जवाब दे देने दीजिए.
all the conflicting issues. Why these conflicting issues you have brought in? Why your MPs, ministers were allowed to say such things where you put the population of India divided?
No, but what he's saying, Mohammad Salim, what he's saying is that worse things have been said in the past by previous regimes. Why were they not questioned? He's pointed out very specific examples. What about the infamous statement of the then Home Minister of Hindu Atangwad?
In the run-up for the election.
नहीं, सुनिए, मैं एक बात कहना चाहता हूँ इस कम्युनल सेकुलर डिबेट के ऊपर.
प्राइवेट मिलिशिया ऑन द बेसिस ऑफ रिलीजन.
बात का लोभ समरण होता ही नहीं है. वो के बाद स्टेट हाथ में जाते हैं.
Okay, Mohammad Salim and Rajiv Desai, one by one, we can't hear both of you together.
कहना चाहूँगा. सुनिए, मैं एक
राजीव देसाई
सुन लीजिए कि मरीज़े सेकुलर इश्क पे लानत खुदा की, मर्द बढ़ता गया जो दवा की. तो कांग्रेस should try to introspect on this line what you are going to achieve and what you are losing.
Let us assume that the UPA government was communal. Let us give it.
Did you ever think about poor defecating in open, women not able to go, girls not able to go to school? Did you ever talk of it?
You're not answering.
Did you talk or twist in the your girl child ratio? Did you ever think of that? Did you ever?
No, one second. I'm just bringing it back. One second, Ratan Sharda. I'm bringing it to the point that was being discussed right now. And Rajiv Desai, what Sudhanshu Trivedi is saying is that for all the times that somebody's standing up and screaming communalism or Hindutva or polarization, for every single time that somebody's coming up and accusing the Modi government of that, the electoral results are proving the opposite. What he's saying is that the people are not believing this.
Well,
Rajiv Desai.
I don't know that. I will take
Mr. Rajiv Desai. Rajiv forgets that his friend Aap spent much more money on non-functional programs.
I take his word for it. I'll grant it. But he still needs to explain what happened with the beef, what happened with the Ghar Wapsi, what happened in Gujarat.
Yes. Okay, we are going to look at all these issues. Yes, the Ghar Wapsi and all the other issues and some of the really, really outrageous comments made by senior members. Okay, we'll come to that. Pavan Verma wants to come in.
What is the problem?
Pavan Verma, yes.
Is it
Pavan Verma.
One comment.
So conversion is fine, reconversion is bad in law. So
we'll come to that, Ratan Sharda. Give me a minute. Pavan Verma wants to come in.
Is your problem that Love Jihad is reality? That is a problem with you. You are communalizing politics. You are communalizing national discourse. You are keeping quiet when conversions happen.
Ratan Sharda ji, I just want to say that whatever the shade of communalism and whatever the accusations, the truth is that the people of India want to move away from the rule of Mahants and Mullahs.
Sir, your government
they
stopped
want the secular dividend. मैं खत्म कर लूँ, then you respond to me. नहीं तो किसी की आवाज नहीं सुनाई देगी. I am saying that the people of India are saying, what about secular dividends like jobs, economic development, growth, hospitals, roads? They don't want this debate. And what has happened now is that with comments like that of Ramzada, with comments like that of Godse being a martyr, with campaigns moved like Ghar Wapsi, Love Jihad and beef politics, we saw it in the politics that have played out in Bihar. I am saying to you, it does not benefit anyone. People of India want to move beyond it. And very often this agenda has overwhelmed the governance and economic agenda you have. You have got lost in side issues.
Mr. Pavan Verma, you very easily disown. Mr. Pavan Verma, you very easily disown what your party people say, and a fringe element says something, you make it as if it's BJP discourse. What kind of politics is this? You never played around this. You are playing around words of few people. Are you answerable to convict becoming the leader of the party? You are happy with working with incompetent people. You are silent about crimes happening in Bihar. You are talking about issues which are fringe elements, which you can disown easily in your own case. Your own party.
No, he's talking about some specific statements that were made. Okay, Sudhanshu Trivedi, you want to come in on this? Sudhanshu Trivedi, I'm going to actually read out some of these statements. Pavan Verma is talking about some of the shocking statements that were made. 1 second, gentlemen. Well, I'm going to read out what Sangeet Som said. For example, he said, accusing the Samajwadi Party government of appeasing the minority community. Sangeet Som said, like it had been done 2 years ago and helping those who had slaughtered a cow. He told a gathering at a temple इन बिसारा अगर निर्दोषों के खिलाफ कार्रवाई की गई तो मुंह तोड़ जवाब हमने पहले भी दिया है और फिर भी देना जानते हैं. That's one. What Tarun Vijay said, why responsibility to keep peace and maintain calm is always put on Hindus alone. What Sakshi Maharaj said, speaking to the media, saying when a Muslim dies 20 lakh is announced by the Uttar Pradesh government, but for a Hindu even 20,000 is not allotted. Now these are just some of the statements that led to massive furores over the last 2 years, Sudhanshu Trivedi, and there is that school of thought which says that these side issues actually took away from everything good that the government was doing. Sudhanshu.
All these statements were duly contradicted or subsided. In some statements have been withdrawn by the respective leaders and the party leadership. And you people call them fringe element. But I have quoted the Prime Minister of UPA, Dr. Manmohan Singh was a fringe element. Home Minister of UPA was a fringe element. Digvijay Singh is a fringe element. Azam Khan is a fringe element of Samajwadi Party. Manishankar Iyer, Shashi Tharoor, Salman Khurshid, Ghulam Nabi Azad, who have openly advocated religion with terrorism, they are the fringe elements. So first try to find out who are playing the politics. And right now in your debate, something has been misled. The so-called concept of love jihad, it was never stated by the Sangh Parivar or others. It was initiated by V.S. Achyutanandan, the Chief Minister of Kerala, who was the Communist Party Chief Minister. He initiated this. And it was so many times noted in the Kerala High Court and the Karnataka High Court. And you are putting it on BJP. And the beef ban, it was not initiated by BJP. It was initiated by Jawaharlal Nehru government. In
now
number of Indian states and subsequently by Indira Gandhi government and
he has
trying
shown
to
you
put
the
it on
mirror.
BJP.
And in Kerala you have seen.
This is a farce which is being created systematically by our opponents. The basic cause is something else, and try to, in order to make this secular communal debate alive, they always create this thing.
Trivedi,
in the so-called incidents of Dadri, the first report submitted by Samajwadi Party to the Home Ministry was neither having the reference of beef nor communal angle. Subsequently, after they are trying to put this angle.
Coming out. What about your comment? When your Sangh Parivar people compared the French artist and the Indian artist,
no, Salim Saab, you just ask your fellow Chief Minister, ex-Chief Minister of Kerala, has he first initiated this term or not?
Is it
Say
your
yes
culture,
or no?
sense of culture?
Then the response lies on you rather than on us.
You want to thrust on the people of this country? When Modi ji in Iran talking about Kashi and Kasha and the quoting Ghalib that there is no distance, आप अगर मन में ठान लो, are here in Delhi, your Sangh Parivar people is compelling the artists to wipe out Urdu couplet. What kind of culture you are promoting? You are blaming others.
No, but Mohammad Salim, what Sudhanshu Trivedi has said is that every single time such an objectional statement was made, then it was condemned, unequivocally condemned.
What you are doing, this is two kind of things simultaneously.
No, it wasn't. Okay, may I ask you?
Rajiv Desai.
Please.
Rajiv Desai wants to come in on this. Yes, Rajiv Desai.
Mr. Trivedi, a question. I have to ask Mr. Trivedi. So who said that if the BJP loses in Bihar, there will be fireworks in Pakistan? Who said hum panch, hamare 25? Who said these? Who made these statements and who disowned them? I would like to know, please. I would please.
Who disowned them? Sudhanshu Trivedi. Who came out and completely disowned them?
I would like to respond. Yes, of course. Sri Amit Shah has said that if BJP loses in Bihar, there will be a firework in Pakistan.
Respond to that.
Now, can I respond?
You are ceding.
No, I am responding, Tyagi. It was our national president. Sri Amit Shah has said कि अगर भाजपा बिहार में हारी तो पाकिस्तान में जाके पटाखे छूटेंगे. सही तो कहा था उन्होंने, मगर पटाखे छोड़ने के लिए सलमान खुर्शीद और मणिशंकर अय्यर जाके पाकिस्तान में पटाखे छोड़ेंगे कि मोदी को हटाओ. जब तक मोदी नहीं हटेगा तब तक पाकिस्तान ठीक नहीं होगा. This was beyond expectation. He has said right, and it was the Congress leaders who went to Pakistan to bust the firecrackers. Was he wrong? Say yes or no.
Rajiv Desai, you want to respond to that?
Forget that your own Prime Minister Manmohan Singh said first right for minorities. Sushil Kumar Sindhe talked about saffron terror. Rahul Gandhi talked of saffron terror.
No.
You framed people. You vitiated the atmosphere. You tried to frame Modi. You tried to frame Amit Shah. This is the Congress government.
I haven't finished. This is something what Mr. Trivedi just did, tried to get out of the scrape, is by resorting to what is popularly known around the world as dog whistle politics. What he is saying that if the BJP loses, the Muslims will be happy. And since most of them live in Pakistan, they'll
remember Rahul Gandhi. Remember Rajiv Desai.
Yeah, so
don't forget saffron terror. Don't forget framing of Ishrat Jahan.
This was the allegation all along. That when Amit Shah makes a statement like that, what he is saying and the subliminal message is that if the BJP loses, then the Muslims are happy. That's the allegation. That's what that message actually meant. Ratan Sharda.
You killed IB and CBI. You killed intelligence apparatus like Raw.
No, Ratan Sharda, respond to the point that's being made right now. Respond to the point that's being made right now, that when the BJP's National Party president comes out and says that if the BJP loses, there will be fireworks in Pakistan, he is saying something very clearly along religious lines, essentially meaning that Muslims will be happy. This is what the allegation is. Respond to that.
It is not one-way game, Nita, remember. Anybody can play the game. Congress is not the only one who is playing the game. So when they get the answer, they get cold feet. These people, where Rahul Gandhi talked about saffron terror bigger than Islam terror, you have word for saffron terror, no word for Islamic extreme terrorism. These are the people who framed Modi for 12 years. They did not succeed. They made Ishrat Jahan case as false encounter. They made intelligence fight with each other.
Answer the
IB
question.
against CBI, against RAW. This is the kind of games that people played. They vitiated the whole intelligence apparatus.
Okay, so let's get Pavan Verma and Mohammad Salim in on this. Pavan Verma, the counter allegation is that if you have very open appeasement politics, which is aimed at only appeasing a particular community, then this is going to be the natural response to that. Pavan Verma.
It is vicious politics,
Very
not just
briefly, I'll
appeasement.
say.
Vicious appeasement.
But if Mr. Ratan Sharda lets me talk, then I'll answer your question.
Yeah, go ahead, please. Go ahead.
That
Sir,
I
Ishrat
say
Jahan ko
that
संभालने
any
पहले फिर मैं
form
चुप
of
करूंगा.
conscious. अरे सर बोलने तो दीजिए, क्यों इतना उत्तेजित हो रहे हैं? Any form of appeasement which is against law or unconstitutional or is disproportionate is wrong. I maintain that. But to say that anything done for the minorities is equivalent to appeasement is a form of stoking communalism. This is a country.
No, but I don't
with
think
many
anybody is
things.
saying
We have to
that
take care
anything
of
done
all
for
kinds of-
minorities. Sudhanshu Trivedi, is anybody
You
saying that?
targeted
Nobody is
Hindus.
saying that anything done for
Problem is you
minorities is
targeted
wrong.
Hindus.
Nobody is
That was
saying
the
that.
problem.
Sudhanshu Trivedi, very quickly, we need
So
to wind
today
this
you
particular
need the
topic up.
situation.
Sudhanshu Trivedi.
You are targeting Hindus for all those 5 years. You targeted Hindus. That is the problem.
Name a single thing.
Giving benefit to minorities is not the problem.
And we oppose.
They need support. But
would
not
just like
targeting
to give
Hindus.
a
That is
data.
not the way to support
I would just
minorities.
like to give a data.
Let them rise with economic support.
Okay, fine. Sudhanshu Trivedi, you also want to come in on that?
I would like to counter with a fact. You name a single instance in which this was a thing which was interest of minority and we oppose. I would just like to give a data. In West Bengal, the percentage of Muslims is 28%. Ruled for 33 years by leftists and now by a very friendly government with the so-called minorities. And what is the percentage in the government jobs? 2%. And in your Gujarat, where the percentage
So what
of
is
minorities is
appeasement?
8%,
Where you found appeasement?
and the percentage in the government services is 8%. And if you go by the Sachar Committee and Ranganath Mishra recommendation reports in 2013, for 66 years, 6 years were BJP in power and 60 years the so-called secular parties were in power. If this is the plight of Muslims after 66 years, who is responsible? The 6-year rule of BJP
So
or the 60-year rule of
Committee and
so-called
Ranganath
secular
Mishra Commission
parties?
has
So
disproved you.
this is the
There is no
typical
question of appeasement in
characteristic,
post-secondary
create a
India.
sense of
None.
fear
True.
and deprive them of the development.
Sudhanshu, let me
Now I'm
answer
coming to
you.
one more point. The problem is this so much obsession of the domestic politics of the
citing-
minorities has deprived India a very significant aspect of diplomacy. That was a cultural diplomacy, which has been properly used by Sri Narendra Modi in the aftermath of our government coming. And the second aspect which is used in diplomacy was the Indian diaspora. The Indian diaspora and the cultural diplomacy, which was never used by the
Okay,
previous
Christina,
government.
on
just
diplomacy,
because of
I'd like to
Those
come
are
in.
of the
important
domestic
points.
politics.
Sudhanshu Trivedi, those are
Culture is
important
tough.
points that we are going to touch upon
Diplomacy,
in the
I'd
next
like to
section
come
of
in,
this
please.
debate.
As a
But
composite culture.
last comment
Don't
from
have a
Pavan
prism
Verma and Mohammad
view.
Salim on this.
We have a
Last
wind this,
comment.
yes, Pavan
We are
Verma, very
innate.
quickly,
I can
please.
tell you
Civilization.
that the one area where the most was expected from this government, given its rhetoric during the election campaign, was foreign policy, and that has seen the greatest disappointment. I'm not talking of activity, I'm not talking of visits, but nobody has yet understood what this government
Pavanji, I
policy is
just
towards
want to say,
Pakistan. Nobody has
yoga is
understood
the
what its
only
policy has been
proposal
towards
in the entire history
Nepal.
of United
Nobody has
Nations
understood
which was
what
not
its policy is
supported.
towards China.
It was co-sponsored by
And therefore-
177 countries.
Therefore, एक एक करके बोलने तो अच्छा है. Therefore, I feel
expanding
one
cloud of
second.
India under
All right.
the
foreign policy.
Sudhanshu Trivedi, Pavan Verma, we
Foreign
got the
policy
question. You
has
echoed
been
what
started
Mohammad Salim had said earlier. I'm running out of time here on this debate, so very quickly, Sudhanshu Trivedi, I'll let you respond to that
Foreign
very
policy
quickly.
is not just
One question,
Pakistan,
for
Mr.
example, that
Pavan
comes
Verma.
up is
Not a
certainly
foreign
Indo-Nepal
policy is
relations
not
being the
an
lowest
event
ever
management
in the history of
exercise.
the two nations. Quick
It
response
needs
on foreign policy.
strategic
We'll take that
calibration.
forward on the Newshour at 10. Sudhanshu Trivedi.
I was unable to hear the question because so much of noise was there. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, just quickly your response to the allegation that foreign policy has failed completely. He's talked about Pakistan, of course, but also China.
It's not an
and most
event
importantly,
management
Nepal, perhaps, a
exercise. It
friendly
needs
nation
careful
with
strategic
which we've had the
calibration.
worst, perhaps lowest point in the history of the two nations. Quick response on that. We'll talk about foreign policy on the other side of a short break. But very quickly, your response.
From support of United Nations to the UN Security Council permanent seat, to the inclusion of black money in the G20 summit in Australia, and from there to the just concluded Chabar Port agreement with Iran. If somebody is not able to accept the truth of our success on the foreign policy, I would just like to say a one line in Hindi कि आज जो मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में भारत आगे बढ़ रहा, उसे एक वाक्य में कहूंगा कि स्वप्न देखा था कभी, वो आज हर धड़कन में है. एक नया भारत बनाने का इरादा मन में है. बढ़ रहे हैं हम प्रगति की ओर उस रफ्तार से, कर रहा है विश्व भी हमको नमन उस पार से. The entire world is
well, Sudhanshu Trivedi, the fact is that Pavan Verma is shaking his head at that because the allegations that come forth are exactly this, that the government's been very high on rhetoric, it's been very high on plans, but there's very little tangible reality on the ground which it can speak of. But on that note, I thank you all very much for joining me on the first debate here. We take this forward on the other side of a short break on the Newshour at 10. We will be talking about foreign policy and also about politics in terms of where is the BJP nationally 2 years after Modi led the party to the centre. Back with that in a few minutes. Stay with us.